Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Hawks Latest, your number one source for news, updates, rumors, opinions, and you guessed it, the latest and the greatest regarding the Atlanta Hawks. I'm your host Zach Langley, aka Langley ATL, and today we've got a full slate of updates to break down for you. This is the 139th episode of Hawks Latest presented by FanArt, so hopefully you guys have been enjoying the ride. I know I have. We're creeping right up onto 140 videos, so that is going to be quite the milestone. It's been super fun growing this channel and seeing the support from you all and from players and people within the Hawks. I mean, that's been super cool. But yeah, if before this video gets started, if you guys could like and subscribe, that would be very much appreciated. And yeah, like I said, we've got a lot to break down today because there's been some news going around in the NBA, and there was one thing that broke yesterday. Former Hawk Danilo Gallinari, I don't know if y'all remember him, I'm sure you do if you are a loyal watcher of this channel, but he announced his retirement, a Hawks legend. He's only there for a few seasons, but he did make his mark known. And so we're going to break down everything about Gallo's retirement and give him some props for what he did, specifically in that Eastern Conference Finals run in 2021. I'm sure you all remember that. Then after that, we're going to shift to some fascinating comments from none other than Trae Young. While he's rehabbing from his right knee, his right MCL sprain that has kept him sidelined for quite some time now, he made it a thing to go and record a podcast and kind of talk about the state of the Hawks right now and how excited he is to get back. And yeah, so he definitely made some interesting comments on some of the stuff going on within the Hawks organization right now. So y'all aren't going to want to miss that segment. That'll be the second segment. Right after that, then we are going to deep dive into Zaccharie Risacher, because he's kind of had a really interesting second season so far. It hasn't been exactly what we pictured going into the year. And he hasn't been shooting the ball really well, but outside of that, he has been a very impactful role player, just doing kind of all of the little things. So we're going to break down the pros and the cons of Zaccharie Risacher's role this season. And then finally, at the very end of today's episode, it's game day today. The Hawks are taking on the Los Angeles Clippers, so we're going to have a full breakdown of that game in the final segment of today's episode. You're not going to want to miss that at all. Also, did y'all see the Chris Paul news? That's a little off topic, before I wanted to get into the video, I just wanted to talk about that for a second, because man, that's crazy. That's the Clippers' probably best player ever, and then he announces he's going to do a retirement, a farewell tour for his final season, and then they just release him in the middle of the night. That's insane. And the Clippers are playing Atlanta today, so he was probably in Atlanta getting ready to play tonight, and then yeah, they just cut him. That's ridiculous, but that's not related to today's episode. Actually, I mean, it kind of is since we're playing the Clippers, but nonetheless, let's go ahead and waste no more time in the intro and go ahead and start with Danilo Gallinari's retirement. The former Hawk officially announced his retirement yesterday, which is closing the book on a remarkable 16-year NBA career that spanned 8 franchises and countless unforgettable moments. I mean, he was never a superstar, but he was a guy who was very impactful at every single stop. He was drafted 6th overall by the New York Knicks in 2008, and he carved out the definition of a journeyman career. Played for so many franchises, the Knicks, and then he went to the Denver Nuggets, where he kind of really broke out as a player. And then he was with the Los Angeles Clippers. He was with a few pretty interesting Clippers teams, and then he went to the OKC Thunder. That's a benchmark of his career that not a lot of people remember, but I do. I mean, I know that was quite a time. And then right after the OKC Thunder, guess where he came? He went to the Atlanta Hawks, where he probably had the most memorable moments of his career, if we're just talking about legacy-defining stuff. Then after that, it was just all over the place. Washington, Detroit, Milwaukee. I mean, he was with Boston, but he never played. And then yeah, it was quite the saga for Danilo Gallo, if you will. That's his nickname. That's what Hawks fans knew him and loved him as. His time in Atlanta was not the most statistically impressive of his career. He still put up solid numbers, but they weren't out of this world. But regardless, they produced his most iconic moments. And before arriving in Atlanta, the season prior, he did play a significant role on that 2019-2020 Oklahoma City Thunder team, which was one of the league's most unlikely success stories. So Russell, the OKC Thunder, they traded Russell Westbrook and Paul George, and everyone kind of expected like them to tank and them to be really bad, but instead they had some vets on that team. It was still a young team. They had some vets, and he helped them lead them to a shocking 5th place finish in the West. So very impactful player. Like I said, he's been a very impactful player at every stop he's been, regardless of the role, whether he's in the starting lineup playing over 30 minutes a night or playing just 20 minutes a night off the bench. He is adaptable. He is a guy who's going to contribute no matter what. But then like the Thunder really kind of pivoted towards rebuilding, and that's when the Atlanta Hawks decided to go make a move and bring him in. It was general manager Travis Schlenk, if y'all remember him. The Hawks inked him on a 3-year, $60 million deal. They signed the Italian veteran too, and a lot of people kind of at that time questioned the contract a little bit. It was unclear what trajectory the Hawks were on at that moment. It didn't look like they were really going to be a team that was going to compete in the Eastern Conference, but they certainly were making moves to at least help them. That was also the same offseason they signed Bogdanovic to kind of a similar deal. And so, yeah, it was really just a matter of, the Hawks taking advantage of their resources and whoever's available to at least try and compete. Because, Trae was really starting to come into his own, and the young core in itself, like the John Collins and just the others on that team, were starting to really develop. And it looked like, maybe they were going to make a little bit of a playoff push. So then, then they brought in the vets like Gallo and Bogey. And they both turned out to be very good moves. A young team figuring itself out, like it was a weird situation. But they brought in Gallo, and they did not regret it. They disappeared quickly because Gallo off the bench became exactly what Atlanta needed, and he would occasionally start when like a Collins or any of the wings or the big men would go down, and he's just a reliable option. His steady veteran presence, the high IQ decision maker who has played several seasons in the NBA, just kind of as the role player that they needed, and he's he was one of the most reliable floor spacers in the league. I mean, spent his entire career being an excellent outside shooter, and like I said, he wasn't lighting up the box score. He wasn't like wowing everyone with his numbers. His best season in Atlanta saw him with 13.3 points per game and 4.1 rebounds. So I mean, like not great numbers, but just very, very solid numbers. And his impact goes way beyond the box score. The Hawks definitely don't make the 2021 Eastern Conference Finals without him. That's like absolutely no exaggeration. The Hawks probably don't make it out of the second round without him. Actually, they don't make it out of the second round without him because he had one of the game sealing plays, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But the 2021 run really shifted the entire trajectory of the Trae Young era. It honestly forced him to be a little too aggressive and may have messed up some things, along the way. But we're back, and there's nothing to be worried about now. But this run was incredible, and Gallo was a big part of that. His biggest moment as an Atlanta Hawk was in Game 7 of the East semifinals, and y'all know exactly what I'm going to talk about if you all have been following the Hawks for quite some years. The Hawks were up 4 with under a minute left, and Joel Embiid was kind of hunting Gallo on defense because Gallo is not known to be a great defender, and so he got the switch onto him, and Embiid kind of spun, and then he was trying to create separation, and Gallo made a great play. He stole the ball from Embiid. It was kind of like a back tap from behind, and the ball landed in Kevin Huerter's hands, and it went up to Gallinari again, and then he put it in the basket, and that kind of sealed it for Atlanta. It was it put Atlanta up 6 and kind of won the game for them. And this play is a part of Hawks history forever because it got them to the Eastern Conference Finals, where they were the closest to an NBA title that the Atlanta Hawks have ever been. So Gallinari retires with career averages of 14.9 points, 4.7 rebounds, and 1.9 assists over 777 regular season games. He also had 51 playoff appearances, and his last season actually in the NBA came with the Milwaukee Bucks in 2023 and 2024. So he's been out of the league for a couple seasons now, and a lot of people kind of assumed he retired already. Honestly, myself included, I kind of forgot that he was still technically a free agent, but he's calling it quits now. And shout out Gallo. I mean, he's going to be remembered in Atlanta not just for the clutch late game steal or the shooting or the veteran leadership, but for seriously being a crucial part of the franchise's most magical run of really ever. So from Hawks fans everywhere, thank you, Gallo. I appreciate him. I know my mom was a super big fan of him when he was on the Hawks for those couple seasons. So shout out Gallo, great veteran, great player, great person, and we're gonna miss you in the NBA. So moving on, kind of to non-traditional segment because that we don't have like players retire all the time. I want to talk about what happened with Trae Young and Jalen and Nikhil just yesterday. So moving on from the past to the present, we have an important update from Trae Young himself. Trae has now missed over a month with that MCL sprain, kind of something that has really kind of put our season in like a weird spot. The Hawks have still been playing super well. I mean, they're holding strong at 13-9 with the Clippers coming into town tonight, which is a great opportunity to get back on track after their loss to Detroit. But, a big reason for the win streak has been, Trae going down. And that is not slander to Trae. That is not anything negative towards Trae. I mean, y'all know exactly how I feel about Trae Young if you've been watching this channel for quite some time. I mean, I believe in his contributions. I think he's an amazing player who can contribute to winning. But the reason Trae going down has been so crucial to Atlanta has been because it has allowed Jalen Johnson to rise as a number one option and a superstar in this NBA. He has seriously, no exaggeration, played at an All-NBA MVP level since Trae's absence began. So Trae went on his podcast just yesterday, which is great. That I love that he's doing this because if there are fans of Trae that want to just keep up with him and want to kind of like see his thoughts on everything going on, like he is taking that to himself and he's making sure he gets his thoughts and opinions out there even while he's rehabbing, because you can just tell like in his podcast like he really, really wants to get back on the court. I mean, you can tell it's just killing him that this team is doing really well, and he's not playing. And I mean, he's obviously very happy for his guys. He's not a guy who's like probably jealous about them doing well without him. But he just wants to get back on that floor because there's nothing Trae wants more than to win. And the Hawks are winning right now, so he wants to be a part of that. But Trae did bring up Jalen Johnson in that little pod. It was only like a 20-minute pod, kind of a shorter one. But he did mention Jalen Johnson. He talked about him for quite some time. He had major praise for his young co-star, saying, "That boy is a star. What you're seeing now is just the tip of the iceberg." And I mean, Trae's not wrong. I mean, Jalen is literally just scratching the surface of his potential, which is a terrifying thought for the 29 other teams in the NBA. I mean, if you think about his blend of size and athleticism and seriously elite playmaking, that has just been an incredible factor to his all-around breakout this season. I mean, we knew he was a good playmaker, but I didn't think he'd be averaging like 8 assists per game. I didn't think it was going to be that good. I didn't think he was going to be a legitimate point forward like he has been. I mean, he has literally developed himself into the engine of this Hawks team. I mean, he's generating offense in transition and also in the half court. The half court has been a little bit of a struggle this season, but as he's getting more reps, he's slowly getting better. He's slowly getting more comfortable in late game situations where he's having to generate the offense in the half court. It's not always going to be perfect because he's not naturally a point guard, but it's coming to him over time. But in transition, generating offense, it's absolutely ridiculous. He's been great. I mean, he's controlling these games, and most importantly, the Hawks are seriously thriving with him as the focal point, which is another thing that not many Hawks fans would have expected going into this season. And this is such a great development because historically Atlanta has struggled when Trae sits. And they are not struggling right now. This year, they've gone 11-6 without him, and that's probably only going to improve, the longer he sits. Which it has its pros and its cons because as much as we love seeing the Hawks win, it's also making people say some crazy things about Trae and his time in Atlanta, and it's getting a little disrespectful. But regardless, it is such an exciting time to be an Atlanta Hawks fan because they've been super fun to watch even without their star player. This kind of surge, like I said, caused that media speculation about whether the Hawks might end up considering trading Trae at some point. But to be clear, the organization is absolutely going to, evaluate this team with Trae because if you remember, this whole team that we have right now is built towards Trae's strengths and weaknesses. So, I mean, they would never just give up on him, and there's not nearly enough of a sample size to determine how good this team is with Trae or without Trae because Trae only played like 4 games, like 4 in one quarter, and then he went down, for like over a month, and it's probably going to be up to 2 months by the time he returns. So, definitely not enough of a sample size to make any sort of decision. I mean, they love Trae, and Trae loves Atlanta, and they're going to continue to build that. But regardless, though, what's undeniable about all of this is that Jalen Johnson has emerged as probably the best player Trae Young has ever played with. Actually, not probably. This is the best player Trae Young has ever played with in his entire NBA career. Better than DeJounte Murray, better than the John Collins or any of the other guys that they have surrounded him with. This is the best player. This is Trae's co-star. I mean, this is Batman and Robin, like genuinely. Yeah, now you can argue who's Batman and who's Robin. Honestly, we're kind of leaning towards Jalen Johnson being the Batman and Trae being the Robin. But I mean, I think Trae's cool with that. Regardless of if it's resulting in wins, I think he is completely fine with that. You can seriously argue that he's become the best player on the roster right now, and Trae has acknowledged that. I mean, Trae pulled up the receipts during his podcast episode, and he pulled up old clips of him being like, Jalen's going to be a star. And then now that he's having that full breakout, he's getting to flex on people a little bit because he saw it before a lot of people, especially in the national media, did. During his podcast, he did not only talk about Jalen Johnson. I mean, he credited the whole team, but then he went on for a few minutes about the rise of Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He definitely praised him a lot. He said, there's a reason why I was trying to get this guy on my team. And I tweeted that information. I tweeted what Trae had said, and that generated a lot of buzz. That generated a lot of talk because people were like, my team? Like, does he know he's about to get traded? It's the Twitter casuals that I'm always talking about. I mean, they don't understand the full trajectory of this team and that they're built for Trae and yada, yada, yada. I could go on this for forever, and I'm sure y'all don't want to hear me yap about that the entire time. But like I said, like that generated a lot of buzz because people are like, this may not be Trae's team anymore. But regardless, like this, people are focusing on the wrong things here. I mean, the leader of the team, who is Trae Young, he is praising Nickeil Alexander-Walker for his play. Na has backed up every bit of that hype. He's been in an unreal role this season. He's averaging a career high 20.4 points and shooting the ball at a very elite clip, almost 40% from deep. It's giving Atlanta another dynamic creator on the perimeter. And I mean, Trae even said in his podcast, he was like, whatever I can do to win. He was like, I'm excited to play alongside Nickeil, but also like play off the ball a little bit, let him create for me and I can create for him. Like if that truly comes to form once he comes back, like this is a terrifying thought for the NBA. This is going to be a really good duo. And it's going to be interesting to see how they manage the lineups when he comes back. Does Risacher go to the bench, and do you start Trae Young, Dyson Daniels, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker next to Jalen Johnson and either Onyeka Okongwu or Kristaps Porzingis? I mean, you can't really go wrong there. I mean, you have such a deep lineup. This is why people have been talking about the Hawks being such a dangerous team. I mean, especially the trio of Trae Young and Jalen Johnson and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I mean, it has some serious potential to become one of the most unique and dangerous offensive combinations in the league. And yeah, I mean, the Hawks seriously have something special brewing, and it's good to see Trae Young kind of taking it into his own to shout out all of his players and break down what he's seeing right now because, we all miss Trae and we can't wait for him to come back, but, it's good to see some content out of him while he's rehabbing and getting back on the floor slowly but surely. So now let's go ahead and move on to an interesting story about Atlanta's young cornerstone, Zaccharie Risacher, last year's number one overall pick, who was not the traditional number one pick, but he's still a very impactful player. So if you look at his rookie season last year, it was defined by efficiency and defensive versatility and, just doing all the little things. He averaged 12.6 points on 45.8% shooting from the floor and 35.5% from three. Those numbers are not like numbers that scream like, oh, this is number one pick, it's traditional number one pick numbers, because they aren't. These are not traditional number one pick numbers, but, it's absolutely translating to winning basketball. Risacher was in a unique situation. The Hawks should not have been picking first last year, but they ended up getting, the luck of the lottery. And so, Risacher, the number one pick, was going into a situation where he wasn't going to play as big of a role as some of these other rookies because, Atlanta was not a bad team that year. They just kind of, they were all right. They were mid. The Hawks were stuck in purgatory for quite some time. They're getting out of it now, but they were. Risacher was going into a winning situation, but he ended up winning the starting job. His low usage, high impact style made him such an ideal fit next to Trae Young and all of Atlanta's playmakers. And really just moving forward, that's Risacher's trajectory. Just such a solid role player, either in the starting lineup or off the bench at some point in his career. They're gonna stick with him as the starter for quite some time, but eventually he may just become a solid bench player. And you know what? That's fine. It was just everyone knew that there was not much superstar potential. Despite all of that, despite his great rookie season that was extremely underrated. Rookie of the year ended up going to Stephon Castle, which I definitely had my opinions on. Because he was a deserving player. I mean, he put up some good numbers in his rookie season, but he was someone who seriously benefited from high usage. I mean, he was operating once Wemby got hurt. He was operating as San Antonio's basically number one option. So he's getting to just shot chuck on a terrible team and just kind of pad his numbers. Putting it frankly, I mean, Risacher meanwhile was contributing meaningful minutes on a team that was expected to win some games and be competitive in the NBA. So now heading into year two, which he's obviously well within year two now, but heading into there, he had high expectations. I mean, I certainly had very high expectations for him, and it's been an interesting season for him so far in his second year. I mean, his shot has not been falling early. He's averaging 11.4 points on just under 31% from three. So very, very much like not good numbers, like if we're being real, but his value remains undeniable despite all of this. He does all the little things that go beyond the box score, and it may not even be traditional things. He's not a great playmaker either, so y'all are probably like, what is he doing? Well, here it is. He impacts the game in every area pretty much other than scoring and playmaking. Like if his offense is not on, he is just killing it because he has elite transition speed. I mean, he's getting down the floor quicker than every other team, every other player on the team. Like that is generating so many buckets for Atlanta, whether he's scoring it or if he's just getting the defense down there and it's generating an open look for someone else. He has multi-positional defense. He can guard literally probably every position on the floor. I mean, I don't think he can guard like centers, but he can guard 1 through 4. There's no doubt about it. He's a very versatile defender that's opening up a lot for Atlanta on that side of the ball. He's a very smart cutter. He's probably one of the best cutters in the league. I mean, the way he cuts to the basket or even like, just runs along the baseline and gets open for like a corner three, whether the corner three is falling or not, that is pulling the defense out from the paint. So it's like his versatility on both ends of the floor has just been awesome for Atlanta. He has a lot of composure in late game scenarios. Quinn Snyder hasn't closed with him a lot this season, but he's starting to as the season progresses. He's starting to gain a little bit more confidence in his abilities, late in games, but especially because of like the injuries that Atlanta has dealt with. He's hit some big shots in some recent games, like late in the game in the last few minutes of every game, just looking comfortable out there. He also has a high level feel without the ball. One of the best off-ball, definitely the best off-ball player in the 2024 NBA draft. But like in the league, like he's up there in terms of just off-ball players, and that's a good thing to have in like an offense that's has so many playmakers that can get him open looks, and it's going to get even better when Trae comes back, because with Trae out, like Risacher has this hasn't been an ideal fit for Zaccharie Risacher because that was the biggest reason why the Hawks drafted Zaccharie Risacher, to get a long-term building block next to Trae Young moving forward. Getting a catch-and-shoot wing who's a versatile defender sounds like a dream fit next to Trae Young. And so he hasn't had the luxury of consistent, clean looks that he would get if Trae was in the lineup. I mean, it makes total sense. I mean, he's had to kind of create more offense for himself than he has in his rookie year and even at the beginning part of this year. It's just not the best part of his game yet. That part is still developing. I believe in it, developing into some solid stuff someday, but it's not yet. And Quinn Snyder is trusting him enough now to play him in some crunch time minutes, even during shooting slumps, and that should be a big sign of confidence moving forward. And Hawks fans should be happy about that. His defense, his movement, and his decision making, it's all elevating Atlanta on both ends of the floor. And I'm not worried about the efficiency at all because when Trae returns, he's going to get so many more open looks, and that efficiency should bounce right back. I mean, absolutely. He's developing into exactly how a winning organization would want a rookie turned sophomore to develop. The shot's not falling right now, but that's okay. He's a young NBA player. I mean, people got to realize, not through volume, but through versatility, maturity, and elite role player traits, Risacher has been killing it. So the scoring dip is temporary, but the impact is permanent, and that's why he is viewed as a long-term asset and long-term piece to Atlanta's young core in their starting lineup. So moving on, let's close with tonight's matchup because the Atlanta Hawks are back in action. They play again tonight. It's very rare that the Hawks are getting like 2 nights in a row to rest. I mean, they're either playing every other day or they're playing on back-to-back. So, hopefully as the season progresses, that schedule will get a little bit easier. But right now, it's not. But we're kind of lucky tonight because the team we're playing isn't very good. The Clippers have been very much struggling. They're actually beginning a 2-game homestand tonight. So that's another rare thing. The Hawks have 2 home games in a row. Let's go. You don't see that a whole lot. But Atlanta is entering at 4 wins in their last 6. So definitely playing some good basketball right now. The game that they lost, it was a very winnable game. Last game against the Detroit Pistons. I mean, they lost 99-98. We had a full breakdown of that in the last episode. Actually, no, it was 2 episodes ago, I think. Honestly, I can't remember. Yeah, it was 2 episodes ago, and so y'all definitely need to go check that out. But, the story of the game was, once again, the dynamic duo of Jalen Johnson and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Them as a duo, their 1-2 punch has been just the best part of the season so far. I mean, genuinely. They combined for 55 points in that game against the Pistons. Johnson had 29, 13, and 7, including 25 of those points in the second half. He only had 4 points at halftime and then just locked in the second half and had 25 of those. Nall had 26 on the night, including 6 made threes and definitely some clutch buckets. So, I mean, in Trae's absence, this tandem has been one of the biggest breakout stories in the NBA. It's powered the Hawks into one of the most surprising early season success stories in the Eastern Conference. On the other side, man, the LA Clippers, whew. It's rough out there in LA, man. Wow. Just not even talking about the Chris Paul stuff that happened like at 3 in the morning. They have been in an absolute free fall. They have 5 straight losses. They have lost 14 of their last 16. Like, what? That's one of the worst starts in franchise history at 5-16. Who would have expected this? Like, I was not like super high on the Clippers, but I did think they would be all right. I thought they'd be a playoff team in the West. You look at that roster. I mean, going into the season, the roster of James Harden, Bradley Beal, Kawhi Leonard, John Collins, Ivica Zubac, then off the bench. I mean, you got several, solid contributors. I was like, this is not a bad team. Like, they're definitely a little old. Actually, no, they're very old, but still, like, there's some very solid veterans on this team, and I knew they were going to struggle on the defensive side of the ball, but it's just been all around a terrible season for them so far. I mean, Kawhi Leonard is still producing at a solid rate. He's averaging 26.4 points, and he's been surprisingly healthy. But I mean, James Harden actually has been solid as well. But I mean, just the rest of them, they have just struggled to form any cohesion. And obviously, Bradley Beal is not returning this season. He was done with that injury. Harden and Leonard are rumored trade candidates. They're probably going to be, I mean, if they continue on this free fall, I mean, James Harden and Kawhi Leonard are not going to want to waste like the last of their, last of their years where they're playing like elite level basketball. And so, yeah, and Chris Paul, who was on the roster and who isn't on the roster anymore, and now it's going to be their final season, but they just decided to get rid of him in the middle of his final season at 3 in the morning. I mean, God, this franchise is so bad. So like Beal going down with that injury has actually forced John Collins into the starting lineup, and Hawks fans are very familiar with John Collins. We all appreciate John's contributions, in his years with Atlanta, but, it's been an interesting ride for him ever since he left Atlanta, and he's in a very bad spot right now, and he isn't playing very well, if we're being honest, because just the lack of cohesion in that lineup has not been very good for a guy whose just main asset is rim running and connecting on lobs. I mean, that's really who John Collins is when his 3 ball is not falling. And the Hawks and Clippers actually played earlier this season. The Hawks won that first matchup, 105-102. Is actually one of the first wins of that like little West Coast win streak that the Hawks went on earlier in the season. So that was super fun. But the issue here is the Clippers, specifically in Atlanta, they've won 3 straight games. Obviously this is spanning over the past couple of seasons. So tonight is no guaranteed win. And, as Hawks fans, we should all know that no win is guaranteed because, we're the Atlanta Hawks. Literally anything can happen. I wouldn't be surprised if this went either way, but it is a game they should win. They're going to be favored, and they should be. So key factors to watch in this game are going to be, can Jalen Johnson sustain his all-NBA level pace and take advantage of a very poor Los Angeles Clippers defense? Is Na going to continue his breakout scoring run? I mean, they may have a guy to contain one of these guys, like a Kawhi Leonard in 2025, may be able to defend either Johnson or Na. It'll probably be on Johnson. So if that's the case, if Johnson's getting locked down a little bit, Nas just going to have to continue to be the scoring threat that he has been this season. Give us another 20, 30 bomb. That would be awesome. Can Risacher provide the defensive versatility that we were talking about against like a solid offensive team with Kawhi Leonard and James Harden still playing at an elite level? And will the Clippers veteran, trio have enough legs on the night on the second night of a tough trip? And if the Hawks continue to show the resilience and poise that Quinn Snyder has praised over and over again, and especially after the Detroit game when they had nothing to hang their heads over, Atlanta should be in a good position to take this one and advance to 14-9 on the season. Which, if you had told me Trae Young was going to go down for the first 2 months of the season and they still started 14-9, I would be over the moon. So Hawks fans, we should all be excited. Tip-off is set for tonight at State Farm Arena, so I'll be there in the media. If you all have any questions you want me to ask Quinn Snyder or any of the players, let me know, because I'm super excited to go and cover it. It's been a minute since I've been at that arena because, we've been on the road, and then also I wasn't there at that last home game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I'm excited to get back, and it's going to be a fun one tonight. So to recap today's episode, Danilo Gallinari is celebrating retirement. Trae Young had some interesting insights on his podcast. Zaccharie Risacher's game is ever evolving, and tonight's showdown with the Clippers is going to be a fun one, and hopefully Atlanta can come out with a victory. There's a lot to be excited about as the Hawks continue to build momentum on the 2025-26 season. So that's going to do it for today's episode of Hawks Latest. If you enjoyed today's breakdown, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single update here on the channel. We're going to be pumping out videos every single day, keeping you guys informed on the latest and the greatest regarding the Atlanta Hawks. But let me know down below, what are your thoughts on Danilo Gallinari's retirement? Give me a thank you, Gallo, in the comments section. If you're still rocking with me at this point in the episode, if you're still here, give me a thank you, Gallo, or tell me your best memory with Danilo Gallinari. What are your thoughts on Trae commenting on Jalen Johnson and Nikhil Alexander Xander Walker on his recent podcast episode from The Point. And then let me know like your thoughts on Zaccharie Risacher's all-around impact. Have you been disappointed or just level-headed with what's been going on with him this season? And what are your thoughts on the game tonight? Do you think Atlanta can come out with an important victory against an inferior Western Conference opponent? Let me know that all down below. But once again, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Zach Langley, aka Langley ATL, and I will see you guys next time.